Hi, welcome to this lesson, Storage Management, preparing for your CompTIA Storage Plus exam. I'm Nigel Poulton and I'll be your teacher for this lesson. Alright then, let's start the ball rolling with the basics. There are a few different ways to manage storage kit, and they're pretty much the same as the methods that we use to manage other IT infrastructure kit. Kit like network kit, servers, you name it. Anyway, first up is the good old command line. A favourite in the Unix, Linux and networking world, and becoming increasingly popular in the Windows world too, with things like PowerShell. And for good reason. The command line tends to be very powerful, with some configuration tasks only being available from the command line and not available in the GUI. But with great power comes great responsibility, so be very careful on the command line, as you can just as easily break something as you can configure it. Now there's several ways of getting command line access to kit. Command line over the network is usually either Telnet or SSH, with SSH being by far and away the preferred option due to the fact that it's way more secure than Telnet. Telnet just doesn't do security, period. It even sends passwords over the network as plain text. So most organizations deny access via Telnet and require SSH, as it supports authentication and encryption. And if you're going to use SSH, you want to go with SSH2, as it's the most secure form of SSH. For the record actually, SSH is an acronym for Secure Shell, and by default it operates over TCP port 22, but you can easily configure that to be a different port if you feel that that gives that extra layer of security. Another way to get command line access to some kit, especially fibre channel and IP switches, is via a serial or a console cable. But to do this you need either a laptop or another management device that has a serial port on it, and you need to be stood next to the kit and to run a cable from the serial port on your laptop to the serial port on your switch. Then you need a terminal emulator program on your laptop too. Either way, over the network or via a serial cable, command line access requires you to type commands into a console and read text responses. I know it sounds basic, but it's amazingly powerful and very popular with sysadmins. Another popular method of management is via the GUI, graphical user interface, and while it's easier on the eyes, GUIs tend to be less powerful than the command line, and they offer a more limited set of commands and operations than are usually available via the command line. The traditional approach to GUIs was to install an application on your PC or management station, and each technology that you managed had its own application. Far more popular nowadays though is management via a web browser. And if you do manage your kit via a web browser, you'll want to do it over HTTPS rather than plain old HTTP. The S at the end standing for secure. It's basically normal HTTP but over a secure connection, TLS. And TLS is an acronym for Transport Layer Security, which is a web-based encryption protocol. Sometimes you'll hear TLS referred to as SSL, Secure Sockets Layer. However, to be technically correct, SSL was the predecessor to TLS, so TLS is more up to date and more modern. Anyway, one last point on this slide, in-band or out-of-band. Management can be either in-band or out-of-band. Generally speaking, out-of-band refers to the use of a dedicated management interface and sometimes management processor and even a management network. So if you've got a NAS filer, let's say, in your estate, and it's on the production IP network, and it's got 4 NICs that it serves out CIFS shares and NFS exports from, in order to perform out-of-band management of this filer, you'll need a separate dedicated network interface to manage it from, so that you're not sending management traffic over one of the 4 interfaces that it's using to export CIFS and NFS resources out of. You can also have a separate management IP network, either its own VLAN or complete with its own switches. So out-of-band is basically separating management traffic away from production traffic. And in-band is the opposite. In-band has you send management traffic over the same network and the same interfaces as production traffic. Most storage kit is managed out of band. Now let's shift our attention to management protocols.